Well, I got some good news and I got some bad news coming out of Oakland. Okay, the good news is that Oakland is one game away from possibly becoming the number one seed in the AFC. If the New England Patriots lose this Sunday versus the Miami Dolphins, then the Oakland Raiders will be the number one seed. The good news is also that they beat the Indianapolis Colts. But the bad news is, with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter of that game, Trent Cole comes on a sack, sacks Derek Carr, and breaks his leg. He has a broken fibula. Derek Carr, MVP candidate, Derek Carr, Pro Bowler, is out indefinitely. At 12-3, the Oakland Raiders have an opportunity to be the number one seed, but they're going to have to do it without their MVP caliber quarterback in Derek Carr. How devastating is this to the Oakland Raiders, and can they weather the storm?
Well, I think this is a real significant injury for the Oakland Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I mean, all the years that the Raiders wasn't, they wasn't nothing. I mean, all of the losing. I mean, these fans. I mean, they. How? My question is, I wonder how the fans feel about all this.
Yeah.
To be losing all these years, ever since 2002,
absolutely,
he hadn't made the playoffs. Now it's 2016, and he had really a significant year. We always did, the Raiders, they're a few players away. Now you have the players.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden, I mean, your MVP starting quarterback is out for the year, and you have to depend on Matt McGroin to lead you to the promised land. I mean, man, that has to be a street buzzkill.
Yeah, definitely.
But, I mean, anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to pull a Jim Plunkett and get him to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That might be too much to ask. Man,
Jeff Hostetler.
Oh, man, devastating. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's got to be devastating. But I just want to say this: you hit the nail on the head when it comes to the fan base. When you look at the Oakland Raiders and you look at their fan base, probably by far one of the most passionate fan bases that I've ever seen. And growing up in New Orleans and stuff like that, watching how people were passionate about the Saints. I mean, I used to watch, the Oakland Raiders for a long time. One of my favorite wide receivers growing up was Tim Brown. And I used to watch the Oakland Raiders and how people used to be afraid of the black hole and those guys that used to wear those shoulder pads similar to the Legion of Doom. And these guys were real passionate about the Oakland Raiders, and watching these guys actually have a Cinderella type season, going 12-3, seems like everything is going their way. They had a couple games at the beginning of the season, could have been toss-ups. They were winning those games. It just seems like they had destiny on their side. And now this happens, man. You got to be devastated if you're an Oakland Raider fan. I mean, you got a guy in Derek Carr who, was drafted and, he came in with high expectations. He's living up to those expectations, and that's something special. And, for the Oakland fan base, to watch somebody that they actually drafted, because we know that Oakland has a history of some draft busts. Somebody like a Darius Hayward-Bay or something like that. They're not really good when it comes to drafting players, but now you hit a home run with Derek Carr, who has been playing out his mind, and now he breaks his leg, and you're going into the playoffs with a possibility to being the number one seed. But I want to say this, not all is bad, because if you look at the AFC, there's not many teams that are not going through the same similar situation, as the Oakland Raiders. I mean, if you take a look, for the exception of maybe like the New England Patriots, let's look at the Houston Texans. I mean, we talked about that last time with Brock Osweiler being the starting quarterback. Now they come in with Tom Savage. I mean, you have some players, that teams were counting on going into the playoffs that end up being hurt. So I just think about maybe if the Houston Texans, if they can actually get out of the first round, because we know that Oakland is going to be able to, have that first round bye. But let's just say, for example, the Houston Texans, defense steps up and they get out the first round and they have to play the Oakland Raiders. I mean, that could be a game, Tom Savage versus Matt McGloin. I mean, it's not sexy, but, at the same time, maybe that can be a game that the Oakland Raiders are looking for. The Oakland Raiders have a good offense. They have great defensive players. You got Bruce Irvin. You got Khalil Mack. You got a secondary guys that are capable of getting those interceptions, even though they haven't been playing that way. But I think that the Oakland Raiders at this particular time, they need to rally around one another, and they need to go out there and play the way that they know they can play, and they need to rally around this backup quarterback, because his stats show that he's not really that good. So you got 11 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and as a starter in a league, Matt McGloin is only 1-5. So I just feel bad for the fan base of Oakland, but I don't think everything is all black, pun intended. But, with a coach like Jack Del Rio, anything's possible. This guy has them playing at a very high level.